Hey everyone, and welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be discussing art style, and I'm going to be sharing some tips and tricks that I have for finding your art style, and I'm also going to be talking about I'm going to be considering the question of whether art style is important to creating art. Is having a distinctive art style crucial to creating artwork? I think that's a very interesting question, and this is a sketchbook session video, so I'm just working on a page in my sketchbook. It's a rough and ready sort of page. It's just me relaxing, having some fun with my markers, and nothing's cut out, so you can see the rubbing out, the mistakes, where I change my mind, everything. And as always guys, this is a discussion video, so as soon as you've listened to me, please feel free to leave a comment down below, share your experiences with art style, share what you think about this subject, and share any tips or tricks that you have for finding your art style, because collectively we have a lot of information and knowledge between us all, and I think if we can share it and help each other, then that's really great. And so yes, please leave a comment down below when you've finished watching this video. Having a distinctive art style, wanting a distinctive art style, is something that I know a lot of people worry about. It's one of the most frequent questions that I get here on my channel, how to find my art style, how did I find my art style, all this stuff about art style. And I know it's a question that a lot of other art YouTubers get as well. And my personal feeling is that it's often something that a lot of younger artists, beginner artists, worry about, and more established artists as well, but I do think it's something, it's just something that's around a lot. And as I was prepping for this video and sort of coming up with a technique that I think is very helpful if you want to find your style, and I'll be talking about that technique a little later on, but as I was thinking about it, I began to think, is having a distinctive art style really important for creating art? Is it really necessary? And to be honest, I don't think it is. I think having a distinctive art style is useful. It's useful for commissions, it's useful for having a cohesive looking portfolio, it's useful for getting clients and work, and it's useful for having a very business, if you want to make art a business, or it's also useful if you want to develop a social media following. I think having an art style is very helpful there, particularly if you can be cohesive and consistent. But I don't think it's really necessary to just sit down and draw. You don't need a distinctive art style for that, and I to be honest, I don't think it's anything that anyone should worry about. I really do believe that it comes naturally. The more you draw, the more it will develop. And the reason I think that is because an art style, the way that I look at art style is just a group of elements that an artist puts together, and they're all usually things that they like or that they feel comfortable with. So you may look at, if you look at 5 of your favourite artists, and you were to identify 5 things in each of their paintings that you really like, you may say, well, I like her choice of colours, I like his line art, I love how she depicts characters, I like, the way that this other person shades. They're just all different factors, and once you put all those things together, you create a distinctive art style. And I think, an art style is also a bit like a handwriting. Everybody's handwriting is different, and it often reflects our personality, and art styles do that as well. So an artist will sort of put a bit of themselves into every piece that they do, and their art style usually very, very much reflects their personality. And art styles can also change. An art style is not something you necessarily want to think of as something that's set in stone. It's something that flows and ebbs and changes over time, as an artist does, because I think art can be a lot of the time very linked to emotions and very linked to just how a person feels. And so if they change, or they go through a period where they're very happy or where they feel sad, then their art often reflects this, and so their style does as well. So I think it's a mistake to view, or I feel that art style is not is not set in stone. I think also that sometimes artists don't have more than one style. They use different styles for different projects, and that's something else to consider. They may have their kind of personal styles, so when they sit down and draw for themselves in their sketchbooks, they draw one way, but if they're working for clients, if they were to do website design, they may choose a completely different style, or if they were to do a webcomic, they may want to draw very simplistically so they can draw it again and again. But at the same time, they may also decide to do some oil paintings and do semi-realism. So an art style is not something that I think dominates every area of your work. I think, but at the same time, often even if you see an artist doing lots of different mediums, you can normally tell they have a cohesiveness, and that cohesiveness tends to be their creativity that they're putting into all these different projects, even if the styles are very different. So it can be a bit of a contradictory thing, art styles, but I do think it's something that people really don't need to worry about, because the more you draw, the more it will come out. The only thing that I think can happen is if you're relying completely on references, where you're copying a particular style. So let's say you're drawing in an anime or a manga style, or you're drawing in a Disney style, and that's what I did when I very first started out. I just used to copy Disney characters. I found that to be damaging after a while, because it wasn't my aim to draw in a Disney style forever. I wanted to develop sort of my own thing, and I found that I had to wean myself off drawing Disney characters and drawing it exactly the way they were doing it. So one of the things that you can do, if you're in a place where you want to develop your own style, but you find it hard to draw without looking at copying a reference image completely. And I don't mean using a reference image for anatomy or for hair. I mean copying it exactly. And I don't mean either if you're aiming for realism. If you're aiming for realism, then yes, you have to copy a reference exactly, or you have to build up your skill level. Realistic artists tend to not have so much of a distinctive style, and I'm talking about the realistic photo reference artists, but they still earn money. They still can make a living doing what they do. So. Where was I? I was trying to think, what was I saying? Oh, the Disney references. So one of the things that I did was I would still draw the same Disney characters that I knew basically what they looked like, but I wouldn't look at the reference, and I would change the facial elements and try and change them around. So one of the problems that I had was with some of the Disney princesses, I thought their eyes were too big, so I began to make the eyes smaller. And if you're sort of using references a lot and you want to develop your own style, then one of the things you could do is to draw the same characters that you're comfortable with drawing, but change them and change them to exactly what you like. And I think that's what an art style is. An art style is a combination of things that you like to do. So another thing you could do if you want to develop your own style is to take the last 5 pieces of art that you've drawn and look at them all and make a list and sit down and think, right, do I like the way I've drawn eyes? And this is exactly what I did. I sat down, I thought, do I like the way I drew eyes? And I didn't. So I took a big piece of paper and I drew out hundreds of eyes in lots of different styles. And I liked some aspects of the manga styles, I liked some aspects of the Disney styles, but I didn't like either one of them. So I began to combine elements, and it's like making a formula. It's like ingredients in a recipe. I just began, and I came up with a way of drawing eyes that I found comfortable, I found easy, and that I really liked the end result of. And for me, comfort and ease is quite important, because I don't want to stress a lot when I'm drawing. I just want to be able to sit down and just draw. And so that's what I sort of began to develop. And then I did the noses, and I did the lips, and I did the line art and the colours. And I know that you constantly tweak the way that you draw, because you're constantly looking at your artwork and you're thinking, how can I improve this? Can I make this better? And I think that's important, and that's very important for growth. But I think when it comes to an art style, you can sit down and you can think about those things and you can begin to develop a style. But at the same point, I think it's important to not be over-attached to it, because you may want to do something else one day, and I don't think you should box yourself into a corner where you're like, this is how I'm drawing for the rest of my life, And I also think that the more you draw, the more your style will develop, because you'll draw the things that you like to do. And you'll think, I love thick black lines, but I want to use pastel colours, and that's quite a clash. And that's something that you really like, and you bring that through all your pieces, because it's something that you really like to do. And I think when it comes to developing an art style, draw what you really like, and really think carefully about, Do you really like what you're doing? Could you make it better? Could you adjust it? Could you do the line art in a different way? And it doesn't matter if no one else does it. Sometimes people online can be quite critical sometimes, and if they see something that's, you know, a little different, like long necks on a character, I get that comment a lot on one of my drawings. Everyone's commenting the neck's too long, but I like that, and I liked that, and you know, Tim Burton did that. I wasn't trying to be Tim Burton, but I was just elongating the neck to see if it looked good, and I liked it, so I kept it. But that's what I mean, you know, you do what you like, and by building on what you like, you end up with a distinctive style, all your own. But I do think when you're beginning, anytime, I think the more you worry about it, the less, I just think it's something that's, it's not worth worrying about, because it will develop automatically as you draw what you like. Anyway, I hope that made sense. Please make sure you let me know what you think down in the comments down below. I know this is an enormous subject, and I've only just scratched the surface really, and just shared a few things that come to mind. And I hope you found this helpful. If not, no worries, but I do very much try to be helpful in these videos. So make sure you leave a comment down below, and I will see you all next week.